In this video, we're going to discuss what it means to be process-focused as an athlete. Hey there, I'm Eli Strawman, a performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Being process-focused means that you focus more on the process or the steps that lead to the result instead of focusing purely on the result. Now, I work with a lot of different athletes on managing sports performance anxiety, the fear of failure, perfectionism, and many other mental game challenges. At the core of all of these mental game challenges is something known as outcome-oriented thinking. Outcome-oriented thinking refers to the idea of you thinking about the future and the result of your performance. Thinking about the result isn't always bad, but it's the way we think about the result that can lead to these feelings of fear and anxiety. For example, if I'm going into a game and I'm thinking about how badly I want to win, and because I think about how badly I want to win, I find myself trying to force a good performance. But when I try to force this good performance, what ends up happening is I play stiff, I play tense, and I'm not allowing myself to play naturally and freely. And we can really track all of this back to that initial thought of, I really want to play well today. Or you might think about how you can't make any mistakes, because if you do make mistakes, that means that your coach is going to bench you. So then you're afraid of losing your starting position or losing playing time. That thought of being afraid of making mistakes because you don't want to get benched or lose playing time can lead to you playing it too safe, playing timidly, holding yourself back, and so on. Once again, we see this linked back to that initial thought of I don't want to make mistakes. Now, both the thought of I don't want to make mistakes and I really want to play well are considered outcome-oriented thoughts. They're thinking too much about the future. The opposite of outcome-oriented thinking is process thinking, or being process-focused when you play. Now, this is a fantastic just mindset for us to have as athletes in general, because when we do want to play a certain way, it doesn't matter how badly we want to play that way. What matters is what do we actually do to get that end result. Now, how we get that result is what we are referring to when we're talking about being process-focused, because the process is everything that goes into the outcome of your performance. So I want you to think about the outcomes that you think about going into games. Do you think about how the game will go? Do you think about what the score will be? Do you think about other people's opinions of you, your stats, and so on? What are the outcomes that you think about going into a game and during a game? Now, ask yourself, is this outcome 100% within my control? Can I for sure make sure it happens? The answer more often than not is no, because we cannot fully control the future and we cannot fully control the results of our play. Otherwise, we would always be playing perfectly and winning every single game, right? But there are things that you can control that lead to that end result. That's why we want to be process-focused. So one of my favorite examples is if we look at a basketball player wanting to score a lot of points during a game. That's the result. That's the outcome of their game. They want to score a lot of points. But scoring points isn't something that's 100% within their control. So instead, we would want to turn our attention onto the process of their game. So what the process of their game would be getting into an open position, calling for the ball, being aggressive in driving to the basket, making quick decisions, right? Taking open shots. Those are all the things that are part of the process. So now, if we're going into a game and we know that the overarching goal is I want to score a lot of points, what makes more sense? For us to keep thinking about how badly we need to score a lot of points and what's going to happen if we don't score a lot of points? Or does it make more sense to focus on all the small steps that you need to do, all the controllables that you need to focus on in order to score a lot of points? It makes much more sense for us to focus on the controllables and all the steps that lead to scoring a lot of points. Those steps are part of the process. So now when it comes to being process focused, there are many different ways that we can incorporate this into your game. But at the core, just kind of the foundational level, it's you focusing on the steps that lead to the result instead of you focusing on the result itself. Now, why is this really important? Well, like I was saying earlier, when we focus on the outcome, that drives fear, anxiety, perfectionism, and many other mental game challenges. But when we focus on the process instead, this is going to help you be more present when you play, right? So your attention is more in the present moment. But honestly, and above anything else, it's going to help you play better, because your performances are made up of individual moments throughout the game. We can even tie this into practice. Your games are made up of everything you do during the week in practice even, right? But those steps, those controllables, the in-the-moment action that you are taking, that is what leads to the result. So when you give more attention to the process of your game, you end up playing better. So you're getting those results not because you are focusing on them and trying to force them, but because you are putting your attention onto what actually will, lead to that result in the first place. So what I want to do now is break down a few different ways that you can become more process focused as an athlete. Way number one is that you want to be process focused in terms of your preparation. So what are you doing throughout the week to help yourself prepare for the game? What are all the controllables that you need to be focusing on? This will include what you're doing during practice. This will include your nutrition, right? Maybe some mental training that you're doing. It will include your rest throughout the week. It could even include preparing and researching for your opponent. There are so many things that you need to be doing during the week leading into a competition that will help you feel more confident and honestly be more prepared to play. And those are all things that are part of the process. So the first place we want to look with being process focused is what you're doing throughout the week in preparation for the game. Now, once you have all that preparation in place and you feel really good about what you're doing during the week and you feel prepared, now we want to think, how can you be more process focused during a game? Well, number one, we don't want to overthink, right? The goal here with being process focused is not that you are overthinking things during a game and you're becoming so fixated on all the small details. That's not what we're talking about. Being process focused during a game is more about being present. Let's keep your attention in the here and now because we know that the here and now is part of the process that will lead to that result. So what you can do for games is you can identify just a few different controllables that you need to focus on. Going back to the basketball example, it would be being aggressive and driving to the basket. It might be crashing the boards, right, and going after rebounds. It might be playing aggressive defense and really pressing the ball on defense. You might even say that something that's part of the process and in your control is calling for the ball, being more communicative and vocal with your teammates. All of that is going to lead to you playing better. So for yourself during games, you want to get clear on what are the controllables, what are those pieces of the process that you need to be giving your attention to. Not because you're trying to overthink them, right? Not because we are fixating and becoming too detail-oriented, but because we know that if we can take our attention away from that result, away from the outcome, put it where it needs to be, on the process, on these controllables, it's more likely that you will get the result that you want in the first place. So in summary, the idea of being process focused is that being process focused means you focus on the steps, the controllables of your game that lead to the result, instead of getting caught thinking too much about the result of your performance. And we want to be process focused in terms of our preparation during the week, so with practice, and then we want to be process focused during games. And the best way that you can get yourself to be process focused during games is by focusing on just a few controllables that you trust will help you play your best during that performance. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in learning more about one-on-one mental performance coaching or any of the sports psychology programs that I have available, I put links to those in the description below. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training to help you develop a stronger mental game.